During the winter of 1950 to 1951, a record number of avalanches, later found to be around 650, hit the Swiss Austrian Alps with extreme force. Eventually coined the Winter of Terror, the repetitive avalanche strikes had absolutely catastrophic effects on the economy, land, and people in the surrounding area. Avalanches can be caused by a multitude of different factors, such as climate-related problems or tectonic plate movements. Scientists have now discovered that the Winter of Terror began due to high precipitation levels caused by the combining of an Atlantic warm front and a polar cold front, thus making this natural disaster climate-related. When the two fronts mixed, the polar cold front lifted the Atlantic warm front ahead. As the warm air was lifted, it then began to cool down and condense, causing clouds and precipitation to form. In this particular situation, when the cold front mixes with the warm front, the clouds are usually more vigorous, which leads to more intense showers and thunderstorms. The location of this natural disaster took place in Austria throughout a 3-month time period. More specifically, the avalanches began in the Alps along the Swiss-Austrian border. Geophysically, the location of the Winter of Terror took place along the top of the European and Adriatic convergence plates, although tectonic plate movement did not cause the disaster. Beginning in January and lasting throughout the winter of 1950 to 1951, the official trigger for the 650 avalanches was the high accumulation of snow combined with the extremely steep slopes in the Alps. Averaging around 7 avalanches a day, the Swiss towns of Andermatt and Valais Canton, as well as the bordering villages along the Alps, were directly impacted physically and economically. Civilians residing in bigger cities were not affected as much as those living in villages in rural areas. When the brutal winter was finished, it was concluded that 40,000 people were buried under the snow, 256 civilians were found dead, over 1,000 buildings and homes were destroyed, and thousands of acres of forest were in ruins. Valais Canton of Switzerland's death toll was determined to be approximately 92 human lives, as well as 500 cattle deaths, while the village of Andermatt suffered the effects of 6 avalanches in just 1 hour, killing 13 people. Austria's civilian death toll was found to be by far the highest, with 135 killed and many man-made infrastructures destroyed. Although many businesses and buildings were ruined and nearly 300 people killed, the Swiss Austrian people mainly suffered economically due to the fact that the surrounding forest's trees were decimated. Although this disaster was not completely avoidable, a great number of lives could have been saved if correct precautions were taken beforehand. After the Winter of Terror had passed, civilians took great lengths to better prepare for the future. Avalanche barriers were put in place, training courses for rescue dogs were created to further their intelligence of how to save people buried under the snow, and new safety protection plans were created. Hazard maps were established, highlighting areas more prone to avalanches, and protection forests were planted around dangerous mountain slopes in hopes of catching a future avalanche of snow before it reached villages and towns. These improvements proved their efficiency in 1999 when a similar amount of avalanches occurred as they did in the winter of 1950, except this time there were much fewer fatalities.